What's the secret of great comedy?
Timing.
There you go.
I'm sorry I'm late. I was actually replacing Maurice on a show. They were looking for
A new Morbo on Futurama.
Thank you very much for your patience.
Do you need a little something to drink, my darling?
Yes, I do. It starts with a V and it's spelled O-D-K-A. But it will look like this in just about an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Zippity-doo-dah.
And then we're going to go to those meetings, aren't we? You to yours and mine to Megalomaniacs Anonymous.
Yeah.
How you guys doing? So I know I speak for Rob because he's tired right now. We are so thrilled to be here. So thrilled that you have love for Pinky and the Brain, a show that hasn't been on the air in 20 years. And yet look at you.
Yeah.
And look at us.
No, don't look at us.
But we can still do the voices.
Yes, we can.
Sort of. Pinky, are you pondering on that pottery?
Well, I think so, Brain, but I never liked that stupid frickin' mouse.
Let me ask you something wacko, if I may, as a scientific genius.
Yackle, thank you.
The first question is for wacko.
Thank you.
Yakko.
Thank you.
Sacco.
Thank you.
Prosecco.
Mazzetti. Thank you.
Prosecco.
Let me ask you something,
Cracko.
Yakko. It's the first question of the night. What the fuck kind of animal are you? Uncle Brain's been drinking again, kiddies. Aha, French. Champagne has long been celebrated for
The
its
thing that people seem to love the most, and I suppose I understand it because I'm a total geek nerd, whatever. But the thing that people love the most is when they hear their beloved cartoon characters swearing. Mo and I were a couple years ago at a con in Florida, and there was
Cover the children's ears.
Okay, there were a couple of there were a lot of.
We had a lot of little ones? Because I've already said the F word.
Just one. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. Oh well. C'est la vie. But there was a sweet little girl who was taking our picture, and I thought that she was getting ready to take a still photo.
Oh God.
And you and I were there, and I was okay. They're smiling. Here we go. I'm smiling and la la la. I'm still waiting and waiting. She's holding the camera. I go, okay, all right. Take a fucking picture. But I still don't, I guess I understand, but nonetheless, thank you very much. And truly, it is, Mo and I were lucky enough to do a little live show at the Plaza Theater last night.
Oh, we have.
Thank you. And it was absolutely just a huge love fest. And the thing that is so incredibly amazing to me is just that, like Mo alluded to a bit earlier, is that the show hasn't been made for, I don't know, 15 years or something. It was the last one we made. But people still love it with Animaniacs and, of course, a lot of other. And so we feel so just incredibly blessed to be in a circumstance where we have this enormous fan base from literally 6 or 7 or 8 years old, people who are watching Animaniacs and Pinky and the Brain and things on the Hub now, and we had folks there yesterday who were in their 70s, and it was so great.
But they knew the show.
Yeah.
They didn't know their kids' names, but they knew the show.
But I don't know, would you guys, this is a great opportunity for us to sort of answer as many questions, and I guess the reason that we're here. So if you guys, do you just want to do a Q&A for the next hour? Is that okay with you?
Yeah. If you guys line up single file here, and sit one person at the mic, and the rest
Right.
laid out.
And more than likely what will happen is
later.
that somebody will ask a question that will inspire an answer that inspires something else, and so We really are just totally here for you guys. Oh, right. Okay.
And I see my sister Dot over there. Hi. Dot, there may be more than one of them, and I don't know. Maybe my parents, maybe my dad was a little bit like to wander. What? Would you stand up, Dot, wherever you are? Look at that. Oh my God. Hello, there's Dot.
Beautiful.
So now that two of you are here, I want to know, what did you do to my ceiling?
It's because we like painting naked people.
Go ahead, sir. What is your name?
Kevin.
Hi, Kevin.
Hi. Hypothetically, let's say Brain succeeded in taking over the world, and you have to choose how he did it. How would he do it?
Go ahead, Brain, in 35 words or less.
Through love and humor. Yes. Uncle Brain's been drinking again. If I could figure out how Brain actually would succeed in taking over the world, I would be the Brain instead of a well-paid, chubby voiceover actor doing it. The hook to the show, of course, is he can't succeed because then the show's over. You know, we have to be able to come back every episode to him starting all over again. And really, I believe the message of the show was and continues to be, don't give up on your dream. We all must go back to the lab every night and prepare for tomorrow.
What are we doing tomorrow?
The same thing we do every day, my friends. Try to take over our world. The day is persistence, and so I think that is the message of the show. And so Brain can succeed in taking over the world, although I've always felt that if Brain were to succeed, the world would be a better place.
I was going to say, what do we do tomorrow night, Brain? The same thing we do every night, Pinky. Prepare to be a greeter at Walmart. Hide my weapon.
But if you're a greeter at Walmart, be the best greeter.
That greeter at Walmart. Yep, because I'm telling you what, I'm about this far from it. I have a very precarious life, but thank you for your question, my friend. I'd appreciate that.
And as you can see, Brain has succeeded in taking over DragonCon already. So he's already completed the first step in taking over the world.
That's right, thank you.
We've taken over DragonCon.
Thank you, buddy.
Thank you, my friend.
Hello, Dot.
Hello, nurse.
Nice to see you.
My question is about the jokes that were on Animaniacs. There were so many great ones, from fingerprints to Hello, Nurse and everything.
Yeah.
My question is, from every joke that you have, from the simplest ones that even kids could understand to the dirtiest of adult jokes that deserved a good night, everybody. First of all, how did you guys come up with them? And two, were you guys allowed to get away with them as well?
I think, first of all, they were written. I mean, there wasn't,
And
improv.
speaking of writers, it's amazing. I just totally
please.
I've said it. You look like Dot, but you sound exactly like Sherry Stoner.
Yeah. She's out. Sherry was she was the voice of Slappy Squirrel, and
The
also
character she created, and also, so she created this whole little niche for herself. But she wrote, she wrote Bubba Bo Bob Brain. She helped develop the Good Feathers.
Yeah.
We had, as Rob was saying, great writers on this show.
writers. It really world-class talent. That's, I think, what made the show so successful for everything. I mean, it really did. The stars really aligned. You have world-class people, Mr. Spielberg and Gene McCurdy, and then you have Tom Ruger and all these folks behind the scenes who make this thing happen. And then they bring in, a 35-piece orchestra with Richard Stone at the helm, and writers like Deanna Oliver and Sherry Stone and Gordy Bresak and Charlie Howell and Peter Hastings. I mean, it goes on and on and on. So anyway,
But I think I think part of what helped us, you already said the name. Part of what helped to get away with that was we had the weight of the Spielberg name behind us.
a lot of gravitas
Fox kids and later the WB just wanted to do anything to please Steven Spielberg. So I think you know, I think we got away with stuff.
Oh, yeah.
It just wouldn't have flown on a cartoon show up to that point.
I think so too, and as I said, that stuff was virtually all written. But in terms of, I think the one that astonished me the most that got through was the fingerprints line, because you know,
Hey, I found prints.
yeah, fingerprints. They bring prints out, or was it Yakko or somebody's holding prints or something?
The artist formerly known as.
Yeah, and they cut to him, and Dot goes,
I don't think so.
Well done, yeah. And so that, but I think as Mo said, it's having Stephen, and I don't know. I mean, the show was never a giant hit merchandising-wise. I mean, if you went to the Warner Brothers stores, it was great to be there, but the stuff was pretty much overpriced, and you could find the stuff at oftentimes at a department store for less money. But it wasn't about that. It wasn't about making action figures and all that stuff. There's still stuff around, and it's great to find, but it really was about the art. And it really was about making a project that did not condescend to the audience. It was definitely in the same groove as Looney Tunes and Rocky and Bullwinkle, all of which Stephen grew up watching. And so I don't think it's an accident.
You call him Stephen?
I call him Stephen because we bowl together. Did you not? Oh, you don't get the call? I'm so sorry. Actually, I call him Steve.
Does Uncle Brain need more drink?
Brain has to order another.
What's that sound? That's Brain falling off the wagon.
Brain was on the wagon?
I will say there was one, I did get to meet Mr.
Yeah, that was just
Spielberg
mine. What's your
a
take?
couple times, but you guys, the Animaniacs actually got to have lunch with him, and apparently my
Oh, it's a great story. I'll tell you. after the moment.
invitation got lost in the mail for that one.
Well, go ahead. Now explain why.
Yeah, but he threw a couple of really nice parties on the Warner's back lot. And
Unbelievable.
he made sure to spend a good, 5 minutes with each team. So I got to meet him twice. Once as a good feather, and once again as an animated, as the Brain. So it was a lot of fun. He has that unique capacity as a human being to make you feel as though you're the only person in the room. Right. Nothing else is important. That is a true gift of the man, and I think it speaks to his focus, I think, which makes him a tremendous director, but also a terrific guy. So that said, tell the story of the day.
Oh yeah, and plus he digs cartoons. I mean, the truth is, he's totally into it. And
oh yeah, he had said that. He
Yeah,
had said that he wanted to honor the Warner Brothers tradition. Disney did the feel-good cartoons, and Warner's did the funny cartoons.
Yeah, and we even in the scoring sessions, we even used the same piano that Carl Stalling used on all the Looney Tunes sessions. Was tuned every week.
The piano we recorded in the same soundstage.
Yeah.
That the Warner Brothers classic cartoons. That orchestra, was about 35 members of the Los Angeles Philharmonic.
Killer players.
Recorded in the very same. It has the same roof tone.
Yeah.
Because it is the same room where the Bugs Bunny cartoons were recorded when Carl Stalling, waved his baton. So when Richard Stone was there, we were in that room with that very piano. So that's why the cartoons sound like Warner Brothers cartoons. The musicality of it, it's brilliant. I got to watch a couple of sessions.
It's ridiculous. It's astonishing. But anyway, the story with respect to why Mo wasn't invited to lunch with Steve, this is great. We have Jess Harnell, the beautiful, lovely Jess Wacko Harnell, had half a dozen beautiful leather jackets commissioned for Yakko, Wacko, and Dot, for Andrea Romano, the director, Tom Ruegger, the producer, and Steven Spielberg. So there were 6 of them. And came to work, and the jackets are just astonishing. They're biker jackets, typical like on the waterfront biker jackets, right? With incredibly airbrushed, beautiful Animaniacs logo. I bet I could get $20 for it on eBay easy. And so he had these made for everybody, and we had one for Stephen and said to Tom Ruegger, when you see Stephen next to the next notes meeting, writers meeting, please make sure that you give this to Stephen with our love and our respect, and thank you for the gig, right? So the next day, when this happened at a recording session, I got a call from a young lady named Bonnie, and she said, "Hi Rob, this is Bonnie from Amblin." And I said, "Oh," and I thought somebody was screwing with me. And I said, "Oh yeah, hi Bonnie." And she says, listen, Stephen understands you have a gift for him through Tom Ruger and wants to know if maybe you just want to give it to him at lunch tomorrow out here at Amblin. And I said, geez, I'd love to, Bonnie, but I'm too busy flossing my bowling ball. So I'm a smart ass. And she said, she laughed, and she said, no, this really is Bonnie. And I just thought, oh shit, yeah, of course, yes, I'm sorry. She said, no, trust me, it happens all the time. And I said, well, and she said, don't have to explain. Would you like to come? Of course, great. So the Amblin office on the Universal lot looks like a Mexican restaurant. It's beautiful. It's like looking at an El Torito. It's gorgeous. It's this beautiful old, adobe style, and you walk in, these big doors, and so I walked in, and Jess and I were sitting there waiting for Mr. Spielberg to come in with his, we had his jacket with him, and finally Tress showed up. She was a little bit late, and the thing that I remember the most, two things, one of which was Tress is sitting there and was in a place where Stephen saw her as the first thing when he walked in. And so when Stephen walked in, the first thing he says is, he goes, Tress! And just hugs her. So I'm looking at Jess going, Jesus Christ, Tress! the director, the preeminent show business figure of our time knows Tress by her first name. Yeah. And it went to right what Mo was speaking about, is about his ability to make you feel like you're the most important. Okay. So we got done and we did our thing, and that man did not take a phone call for an hour and 15 minutes. Didn't talk to anybody. He was there with Tress and Jess and Rob, and that was it. And treated us like rock stars, asked us about our ideas about the show, many of which were implemented later. And it was one of those, you call your mom and dad and say, guess what I just did? And that is why nowadays, because I've had the good fortune of working with Mr. Spielberg on a couple of projects, and the present company included, people like Maurice, Tress, Sherry Stoner, a number of the people whom we have had the great honor and privilege of working with world-class talent who could screw with you if they want to, right? I mean, who really could. Steven Spielberg doesn't have to be nice. It won't affect his work, but he is. So now, when somebody comes into a session, and mind you, it's very rare, but when it happens, and I just get done working with somebody like Maurice and having had experiences with, Mr. Spielberg and all that, when somebody is an asshole, it's like this warp in the space-time continuum, because you want to say, dude, I know these people who can tap dance on you talent-wise, and they don't act like that. What's your story? So we are incredibly lucky to have done that. And this is just icing on the cake to be able to share those stories with you. So that's why you didn't get the invitation, Mo. There's nothing about you.
No, I know.
Just did a frickin'. I'll get you a jacket.
I'll tap dance on my own.